Fighting Talk back again, and today I'm delighted to say I'm joined by MMAfighting.com's Petesy Carroll. Petesy, firstly, thank you for the lift from the airport.
No problem. Do you want me to just shadow box in the corner? Let them know what I mean. I'm here for bad intentions. How was your trip?
Yeah, it was alright, yeah, spot on. It was
Just they have a lovely pair of trainers on here. Nobody's going to be able to see them.
I was going to say, I'm not getting my leg that high in these jeans.
Fair enough. You look lovely though, fair play.
Thank you very much, Petesy. But big fight week this week, Saturday, Bellator Dublin, the first of the 2020 European Series. Last year, how would you sort of assess the way the Bellator Europe scene was?
Look, I mean, I feel like this Dublin is the main show. Now, that's on brief experience in the UK. Like, I've been to the London show. Even with MVP, I was expecting to go in and have similar numbers to what we have here, around 9,000, 8,000 to 9,000. But I mean, it was like 4,000 maybe in London. And that really kind of made me see, like, Jesus, this is really the jewel in the crown for Bellator Europe, this show. And of course, James Gallagher being the guy who's headlining all the shows. And with him coming off it, this one, I feel like that's the big comparison I'm making here. Like, I feel like there is not as much interest in this card as maybe previous ones. I mean, I feel like James and Cal was a huge loss to the card. Peter Queally not fighting Primus is a huge loss to the card. But I do feel as though the card, once everything goes according to plan with the main event, has huge star-making value for the likes of Liam McCord, obviously, who's in that main event. She's had huge mainstream attraction from the media ever since she made her pro debut, so I feel like if she can get herself out like she has today, she's appearing on a lot of Irish TV shows and come away with a big win, I feel like her stock is going to be launched into the stratosphere. But if that doesn't happen and they come away with a defeat, it's really Bellator ended up with a lot of egg on their face for putting someone who's only 4 fights into their professional career into the main event, you know?
Do you think it is a little bit maybe too soon for Leah?
I feel like, yeah, like when we're thinking about meritocracy and stuff like that, like, you wouldn't see this happening in, say, the UFC. You wouldn't see someone like this really in a main event a lot. I'm sure everyone's going to say, what about this, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it's just not something you usually see, someone with 4 professional fights there. But Bellator play a different game than the UFC. Like, we had James Gallagher on Eurobash this week, and he was kind of talking about the different value system Bellator might have in terms of where they place fighters. And I feel as though the reason why they've put Leah there is her story, a single mother, you know, this early in her career, headlining the 3 Arena, that story can transcend MMA bubbles. Like, that story can reverberate with women around the country, and maybe people who aren't just MMA fans, they could latch onto that story and get interested in it. Whereas I think a lot of people are thinking, like, initially when James falls out, we're like, put Redmond and Georgie Carcanyon in the main event because they're the most experienced. There's big implications of the division, or Brent Primus and Chris Bungard, huge implications on the lightweight division. Put that in there. But as James explained, and as it kind of seems, they're looking to constantly transcend the sport. They're not looking just to capture the attention of the MMA fan. They're trying to catch the attention of the ordinary Joe on the street. And I think that's why Lee is there. So not too soon in that regard. But you know, if she does come away with a loss, I think the fingers will be pointed at Bellator rather than Liam McCord.
I think they're missing the trick as well, like you mentioned there. She's a single mother. She's very relatable to a lot of people. But this storytelling narrative, apart from maybe Chandler and the Pitbulls, I can't remember the last time like Bellator could have had an angle that they could have run within, but they just don't. Like, I think prime example, I was talking to you in the car about it when Paul Redmond got pulled. When Ryan Scope got pulled off the card. The first person to say, "I'll fight," is Andrew Fisher. Scopey's coach, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that story there, that's something to build on.
And Fisher's had a great run, you know, so far in Bellator. He's been completely rejuvenated with Bellator, so I think that's a great fight, and he's a known name, he's a known quantity. That's something I feel like that's my biggest criticism of Bellator since they've come in here. It's all about, when you talk to people where you live, when I talk to people where they know what the UFC is, right? And now it's getting to the stage where they know who James Gallagher is. But like, Bellator is not a brand that automatically jumps into people's heads, and the only way they're going to do that is attach the brand to these great storylines that have developed. Like even Bungard and Queally, the dynamic they have, like, you got to make that fight. Like, they made Miles and Queally. That was the most captivating fight. I know you were there. The atmosphere is absolutely incredible. If you don't build the stories, you're not going to get brand recognition. So I feel as though they have a very short amount of time to make something happen there with Leah, but it could be a big story, I guess. But yeah, I do agree with you. You know, they could do a lot more to make the events, to build the narratives before events, and keep a consistency between the events in terms of a narrative. Like, the problem for me is with Bellator, the European series, is you never know what the next step is for these guys. Like Chris Bungard goes in and beats Primus, and then you're like, who's he gonna fight next? And they're like, oh, he's gonna fight some random dude, like, you know, you never heard of. Like, you have to build something, make us feel like we're building towards something. I think that's what they've missed so far. Like, as opposed to, say, another promotion in the area, Cage Warriors, is the champion. You know, there's a guy going towards that belt all the time. When he gets the belt, he's on the UFC radar. That's compelling in itself from a sports point of view. So that's where they need to kind of challenge Cage Warriors, need to make up ground a little bit, I think.
In terms of the story, though, it's a nice little segue. This James Gallagher-Callaghan fight, it seems to me every time it's pulled, there's a little bit more to it, a little bit more of an internet exchange.
Jesus,
As you say, you spoke to James last week when you were back. I caught up with Cal a few days after his fight was pulled. I mean,
they've really changed their tune this time, haven't they? Holy shit, yeah. I'm like afraid when they start talking about it. But it's great for both of these guys. Like, look, it's not so long ago they first made that fight. People are going like, oh, who's Carl Eleanor, blah blah blah. Like,
it's McGregor versus McGregor.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is really shot Carl's name. Yeah, like, you know, he's got huge recognition for his name now, and although it must be incredibly frustrating that they haven't been able to do that again, by the time this actually happens, it's going to mean way more than it would have this weekend, and certainly way more than it would have the first time they were meant to fight. So I feel as though this is bubbling away really nicely. And look, I want to see James at the best of his ability. I want to see Cal at the best of their ability. And look, Cal was through a massively traumatic situation there when the first fight was pulled. Like, not only did he think his career could have been over due to the brain injury, which turned out to be complete bullshit. Like, his mother passed away, you know, ahead of that fight. And I feel as though the more time he gets away from that, the better he's going to be, and the more resilient he's going to be. I know he's incredibly mentally strong guy as it is, so I feel like that can only help things. Obviously, you know, it would have been a lot better for Bellator if that fight was on this weekend, but in terms of those two fighting, it's got to happen, and it's going to be huge when it does happen.
I think it's something for Bellator that they can really look at as well. This bantamweight division, especially in Europe at the minute, a fight that's not gone unnoticed, but I think certainly hasn't got the recognition it deserves this weekend. Ricky Banderas, Frank Malabo. That, I mean, in terms of even there, you can have the story with that. James has only lost. France teammate. With that. There's nothing with it at all.
Yeah.
But
it's annoying.
I mean, but like Parrot Mix as well was getting involved in Carl and James' Twitter exchange yesterday, day before. I mean, this could really turn into something in this sort of European bantamweight division.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, James and Carl, I feel as though the winner of that is going to go on and challenging in the US. I feel like that's where that goes. Even though you've got guys like Don Wooding and stuff who are fantastic bantamweight fighters. And look, the France situation here is they should have been shoving that down our necks about the Bandejas James thing. And I did see a clip, I believe, building the fight where it showed the Bandejas KO and stuff. But what happens if France beats Bandejas? Right, because James has been the front runner for this whole movement really in Europe as far as I'm concerned. He's at the top of these cards, and then France goes in and beats the only guy that's ever beaten James. Now, when you think about what James spoke to me about this week on Eurowatch about how they place cards, it shouldn't really impact it, but in the fans' minds, like, this guy has beaten the guy that they only bet James, so it's going to be an interesting one to see what they do there. But I can't wait for that fight. I think it's the best fight in the card, the best match fight in the card, unbelievable fight. People who don't know much about France, this guy was so good at amateur. He won the world championship and basically was thrown into full-on professional fights from there. He has a record of 8-4, but if you look at the guys he lost to, they were like champions nearly in Brave and stuff. Like, I mean, he was absolutely exceptional. That they just literally thought like, oh, he won the world champion amateur, he's gonna be a world champion at pro. Go. Ridiculous. But like, I mean, ever since I met Franz, he's been one of the key sparring partners for Conor McGregor. His boxing is absolutely outrageous. He's an outrageous boxer. So, I mean, I feel like this is a completely different matchup than the Gallagher fight with Bandejas, and I think it's going to be brilliant. I actually think it's going to be an amazing fight.
Another person, just when I was checking in, who this is a huge opportunity for, of course, Chris Bungard. I mean, he had arguably one of the most active years on this Bellator Europe roster last year, and I mean, he's coming into this fight, 2 weeks notice, as he says, he was on the back of a camel in Tunisia when he got the call.
He's a funny man, he really is.
Well, what an opportunity this could be for him though.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, like, you know, I can imagine Peter Queeley's pissed off about this situation, and they're rivals, so that will be happiness for Chris Bungard. He's going to be loving that. But I knew Queeley wanted to fight Bungard on this card, and obviously Bungard wasn't too keen because he was coming straight off that London fight or whatever at the time. He didn't want to commit to that straight away. So I think they would have made that fight if Bungard had been like, yeah, let's do it. They don't make that fight. They make Queeley v Primus. Everyone else was like, yeah, this is amazing. Queeley's going to take on Primus. Queeley gets injured, and then suddenly Bungard's like, oh yeah, I can fight. That's really that's some shrewd moving from Bungard there. But I feel as though he can't lose. Even if he gets defeated on the night, it's win-win. You're after coming in here and fighting a former world champion. He's great crack. He definitely has links to the Irish. He was over here training SPG for a long time. He's a huge Celtic fan. Everyone in Ireland's basically a Celtic fan, so he's going to know a lot of guys from coming over to the games and stuff. I think he has everything to gain here. Yeah, it's a win-win for him. He can't possibly look bad after this fight, no matter what happens. Even if it goes the same way as the Wild fight with Primus and he gets Dogo platted seconds into the fight, I feel like people are going to be like, well, Chris Bungard came in, stepped in on short notice against one of the best fighters at lightweight, and he's going to deserve something on the back of that. Like, he's after digging Bellator out of a hole, so they need to sort him out next one.
I think Chris is in it's an interesting position almost, where I think the Mario Saeed fight is still there, sort of as and when he wants it almost. Mario, I know, is very keen for the fight. It got pulled off initially, the London card. The Queeley fight could be there if...
Queeley fight's there. Like, it's not going away. Like, I feel like that's a training beef. That's a story Bellator should sell. But I mean, it's like, there's so much there, and it's gonna keep on unraveling. Like, I feel like every time they post about each other, like, what? I didn't know that. You know what I mean? It's like it's constant, and I feel that's really gonna unravel when they actually do fight. So yeah, he has a lot of options there. And look, on paper, like, the vast majority of people are gonna look at this and go, Primus is gonna win, because Bungard's not an international name. So if he causes an upset here, it's gonna be massive. The implications for a win for him are out of this world. I really like. I mean, it's life changing if he wins this fight.
I mean, not just Bellator, of course, are in Dublin this year. We've already had the announcement of Cage Warriors Belfast. Shaping up to be quite a tasty little card, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, you guys in the UK have so many fighters in the UFC. Like, I mean, and probably one of the best generations of fighters ever. For the UK in the UFC at the moment, with the likes of Leon and Till at the forefront of it all. But the thing with us is we only have Joe Duffy and Conor McGregor, and great guys. Don't get me wrong, but 2 years ago we had like 9 people in the UFC. People are starving for someone new to go into the UFC, and whereas UFC coming back might have negative implications on Bellator being here because they don't have the lion's share of the market. It's not just them putting on events now. Irish fans can go to a UFC card. That might be problematic, or it might help the fact that there's so much MMA going here. A rising tide might lift all ships, but it definitely does help Cage Warriors, because Cage Warriors is the road to the UFC. All of the guys, well, the vast majority of them, I think, bar Artem, Paddy, Artem and Paddy had fought on Cage Warriors before they went to the UFC, and Norman Park, sorry. But everybody knows Conor had the belt there, Siri had the belt there, Cole had the belt there, Chris had the belt there, and now Rhys McKee is fighting for the belt in Belfast. And obviously, as soon as the UFC Dublin thing was announced, everyone's like, Rhys McKee's fucking going to the UFC. You know, it's like all of this is building up. People like Joe McColgan, people like Ian Gary, people like Paul Hughes, all these guys have an opportunity to put their name in the hat there. And even though they aren't all going to get signed, like, it's impossible. We're never going to see like 5 people get signed or whatever it was before the second UFC Dublin show. But the fact that everybody will be talking about it, people going, Ian has to go now, he's 4-0, Ian has to go and it's 5-0, that's all going to help them. It's going to really help their careers to have all these Irish people desperate to get them to the UFC. It's going to make them look like huge deals and make the spotlight even bigger for the UFC to have them on the radar.
Do you think this is maybe arguably been the biggest time for British and Irish MMA collectively, in terms of, well, the sport's only 25-year-old, but I mean, when you look at the top names we've got now in Bellator, in Cage Warriors, in the UFC, I think it's certainly up there. Yeah,
like, I mean, I feel like Bisping winning the world title as well as Conor having the world title at the same time. I feel like that was huge. And honestly, like, the first time the UFC came here with the Brandao fight with Conor, I don't think I'll ever see MMA having that effect on people. because like after that fight, you gotta imagine we had like 20,000 people going to America after the Silva fight to watch the Mendes fight, and then it was pretty much the same number going to the Aldo fight. Like I just don't think anyone like we barely have that many people traveling when you're going to a World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, when you're guaranteed you're gonna get a good couple of weeks out of this, lads. Like that was incredible. It's I'll be being disingenuous when I was saying it's got back to there, but the fact that Cage Warriors is here, Bellator is here, UFC is here, it's a huge improvement to where we were even last year or the year before. I think it's all positive stuff. And look, maybe it has the potential to build to something similar to that before, but I just don't see another athlete like Conor ever coming around again. That's the reality of it. And where Conor was with the Irish public in 2014 and 2015 is a lot different to where he is now. He was adored, he was lifted up like this, you know, omniscient, like a saint. Yeah. Like I mean, and you can only go down from there, right? Like you can't just hold that like I'm perfect, like as far as everyone was concerned at the time. So it's just hard to see that ever happening again. But it is very positive, and I'm very happy with the state of Irish MMA with all these promotions coming.
Yeah, no announcements yet for that UFC Dublin card, but that London card's filling up quite nicely. I think one fight that, again, almost a bit like Franz and Ricky on this, that when you actually look at it, you go, that could be fight of the night, is Mark Diakese and Jai Herbert. Of course, Jai just being signed, stepping in shortish notice as well.
I feel like he's in the same situation as Bungard is with Primus.
Nothing new.
Because people, right? So say in the UK, us crackheads from MMA, we know all about Jai. We know what he can do, but only like in the broad scheme of things, a lot of people that aren't tuning into regional MMA the way we are, right? Like we're weird. So we're watching all this. We're all watching all this stuff. We know how good Jai is, how elite he is. Like he's ready for the UFC, undoubtedly. Whereas Mark is known the American audience. He's known around the world. He's known all over Europe. So when people again look at this on paper, they're gonna be like, "Oh, I know that Mark Diakese guy. He's gonna win." And then Jai comes in, and his ability, his hands, like he has every chance of stopping Diakese as far as I'm concerned, and vice versa. So if he can do that after the race again, I think it's hugely going to help him. The fact that Leon's on the card, and you can't put a microphone in Leon's face without talking about Jai and Team Renegade anyway. So that's all going to work out for him. So I feel huge fight, and I do think that absolutely could be fight tonight. That's it. That weekend with Cage Warriors there on the 20th, and then UFC on the 21st. I think that's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable.
Another athlete you had on Eurobash this week, Molly McCann, who also features. I'll link that.
Ireland's own. Ireland's own.
Well, she's looking for citizenship now.
What did she say? She was bin back in the she's a legend.
With Billy the taxi driver as well.
We had a lot of appearances from the community.
But this is it's another huge opportunity for Molly. Big fight against Ashley Evans-Smith. In name again that I think. When Dublin got announced, you said yourself there was a canny bit of interest online.
Huge canny. It was massively.
I was going to say
it was massively canny at the time, as I said to many people. But yeah, it's like the thing is with Molly, right? She had that first loss, and she like bore her soul to us. Like she was like, "This ruined me. Like mentally destroyed me that I lost the fight." Like, and straight away you're like that is amazing, the fact that she's just coming out here and saying this and being so honest. And it also gives you an insight to her mindset. Like she expected to go in here and destroy people, and that's what she has been doing ever since then. So she's 3 fights in a row now, and at flyweight the pickings are pretty slim. Like there's not a lot of people that have a streak like that. She goes in, she beats Ashley Evans-Smith, an incredibly experienced and has been in the UFC for a lot longer than Molly. She beats her. I think she's absolutely capable of beating her. She's on a 4-fight win streak. I'd love to see Valentina fight Jojo next. But what happens after that in Dublin? I think that would be unbelievable, wouldn't it? Like, I mean, I love Valentina Shevchenko. I think she's absolutely outrageous. I love Molly McCann. What can go wrong? You know what I mean? It seems like like a 4-fight win streak. Like Molly's put her feet under the table now, as far as I'm concerned, with the UFC. Like if they don't realise how much she's reverberating with the fan bases here in Europe, they're idiots. Like she's absolutely golden. Everybody seems to love her. So I mean, why not? I think it would be as good as any other fight they can make there.
I think if that Shevchenko fight doesn't happen, the other name you mentioned there, Jojo Calderwood. I mean,
right. But I feel like Jojo's got to be next in line for Shevchenko, because Shevchenko's saying it. Like, she was on the bash, and she basically, we asked her about Jennifer Moya, Roxanne Modafferi, and Jojo, and Jojo was the only one she just kept talking about. So we're like, yeah, it's probably Jojo. And I know she was on with Ariel as well, and she had said like she's likely next. So Jojo v Yeah, well, I mean, if Jojo loses to Shevchenko, then it's like the battle for the UK in Ireland. Get one back on yous. I mean, Ireland's Molly McCann against Scotland. John Galloway. Amazing fight. 2 Celts.
See, last year was a massive year for UK and Irish MMA. How big do you see this 2020 being?
I think it can be huge. I think there's a lot of different things going on in different promotions, but I feel like for the UK, they have a lot more guys at the forefront of the divisions in big divisions like Leon Edwards. I feel like he's going to fight for the title this year. His brother Leon could be knocking on the door of a title shot against either Lima or Musasi. You got Till against Stylebender, which could be coming. Like, I mean, there's just, look, they're giving a guy, Yoel Romero, a guy who's coming off losses, a title shot. Till's on a 1-fight win streak. You know what I mean? Like, but the style matchup there with Stylebender is absolutely outrageous. That could be unbelievable. For the Irish, you've obviously got James and Cal, which is going to be huge. You have the return of McGregor, who's there, and then you have Reese for the title, and all these guys like Ian Gary, John McColligan, Paul Hughes, all these other guys that are going to be definitely be talked about in terms of getting that UFC signature for UFC Dublin. And UFC Dublin's going to be just huge in itself. They just have the brand back here. It always just raises everything when the UFC comes back. So yeah, I feel like it's a huge year for all of us. Maybe more so the UK, but we might come back and get you in 2021. Bigger year for us.
It's going to be, I think, one hell of a year we're in for across all 3 promotions. As well, A-side, them little Nas X lyrics, how are they coming on?
Oh, you know what I mean? I'm trying my best. I can't reverberate with the artist that much. I just can't see myself on too much, but I'm going to keep on trying. Oh, France Malambo. Look at this, man.
Yeah. No,
come on in. Come on and say
I do a photo.
Great France Malambo. What a man. That's the best point in the card.
Yeah, 100%.
We already said it, but...
Yeah, but when he said the shot.
Oh, man. Look, jeez, they're all around. You could have been interviewing interesting people. Look what they're doing this, bro.
I've got that clip of you shadowboxing PT, that's going to last.
No problem. Watch out for these bad boys.
Thank you very much for your time.
Great to see you.